Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavanshan Sri Rupam Chakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam
I'm inviting. Yeah, but I'm going to mute him.
Sajivam Shadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sadhana Lalita Sri Vishakha Nitanscha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur-Bhakta-Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur-Bhakta-Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur-Bhakta-Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Now Nityananda Prabhu is going to give a lecture on cultivating bhakti. Balaram Prabhu is back in Turkey. Maybe he will join us later. So you can get right into the lecture. Hari Bol. I will ask you, I will unmute you. Okay,
Hare
please, Nityananda
Jai.
Prabhu.
Jai Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept
Can
my
you
humble
turn on your video,
obeisances.
please? Can you turn on your video?
Yes, sure. Hold on. Let's just check here. Just give me 1 minute.
Yes.
Second. Can you see me now?
Not yet. It still shows your display picture.
Okay.
If there's a red bar over your camera, then it's blocked. Now we see you. Thank you very much. Haribol.
Haribol. Okay, 1 second. Capture. I think I'm having a problem. I'm just going to log in and log in again.
No, then just turn it off, you know. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu, we hear you.
Yes.
We hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Just leave your camera off if it's not working. You can start the class, you know. Now we see you. Great.
All good. Okay. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Dandavat pranams. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak. Can you all hear me clearly? Is it clear enough? Use these
Yes,
phones.
loud and clear.
Okay, very good. Yes, so today we wanted to speak about a topic I think that's very important for us in Krishna consciousness. It's something that devotees that we tend to think as taboo, but it's very necessary and it's important for us in Krishna consciousness, especially as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, because ultimately that's what we are. We are devotees and ultimately disciples coming in the line from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who descended upon this earth to bless us with something that is very precious, Prema Bhakti, in a way that no other has actually blessed us with. So I pray that I can do some service to Prabhupada and to my Guru Varga and these all the devotees. I hope that it may not disturb the minds too much. And if you have any questions, you can definitely ask me at the end. So I've made some notes just regarding this. First of all, I'd like to start off with just going through what the stages of bhakti are, stages of bhakti in this material world. So we do have Adhushraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishta, Ruchi, Prasakti, and Bhava. So as we all know, Adhushraddha, Sadhu means unflinching, and Sadhu means Shraddha means faith. So Adhushraddha, first of all, when we are cultivating bhakti, most important thing that we should have and attain is faith in our consciousness. To have faith that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and to mostly to have faith in our spiritual master. So in our life, when we become devotees and we try to learn about Krishna consciousness, we need to seek out a spiritual master. And for that, we have to attain a bona fide spiritual master. Bona fide spiritual master is a pure devotee, Tamarikari. That's confirmed according to Guru Sadhana and Shastra. They have qualities. This is how we identify who's a bona fide spiritual master. They have 26 qualities. They are Vaishnava. And by examining these qualities in this spiritual master, we can identify, okay, fine, this is a bona fide spiritual master, and we can take instruction from them. And to the degree that the spiritual master is qualified, to the degree that the spiritual master has these qualities, the stronger our faith will be in Krishna, ultimately, because of the spiritual master. So Adhishraddha is very important. Adhishraddha, it also means obviously faith in the process of Krishna consciousness. And then from there, Sadhu Sangha. So Sadhu Sangha is obviously the development of gathering with devotees. We gather with devotees and we cultivate our bhakti there by performing loving devotional service. So basically, then we go on to Bhajana Kriya. Bhajana Kriya, we perform loving devotional service with our bhajan, with all of that. And then another Vritti is for basically getting rid of our unwanted anarthas. This is a process by our constant practice of loving devotional service unto Sri Krishna and following the orders of our spiritual master. Then Nishtha. Nishtha is also very important in our lives. Nishtha is our steadiness in our bhakti, our steadiness in our practice of Krishna consciousness, and also our steadiness in our faith, that we don't lose faith along the path of Krishna consciousness. Then from there, from Nishtha, from our steadiness, automatically, as we progress in our Krishna consciousness, ruchi will develop. So some taste will come. Taste and this ruchi will come. And once we get taste, then attachment, asakti, comes upon us. Asakti, which is very, very beautiful. Asakti is the attachment where we cannot live without Krishna, where we cannot live without devotional service, we cannot live without our spiritual master and Vani, and the sadhus and the saints that we have associated, that we have to associate with. So it becomes a way of life. It's not that something that I have to do. I don't have to chant my round. It's something that I want to do. It's something that's important. I become attached. So Asakti is very important. And from there, a stage of Bhava. Bhava, which is very important. Bhava, which is like it's almost the pinnacle just before Prema. Bhava is it's how we cultivate our mood. Our mood, cultivate our bhav, our loving relationship with Sri Krishna. Sri Radha and Krishna in the Yugala Kishore, in the past, in the Yugala Nikunjas, in the pastimes of Goloka. And then ultimately Prema Bhakti, which comes about through the kripa, the mercy of Krishna. It's only due to Prema Bhakti that we can actually have this, that we can actually get out of this material world and go to the spiritual world. So yeah, and I just wanted to discuss about the cultivation of bhakti. So I'm going to read about Srila Prabhupada, some of Srila Prabhupada's purports, and I will also read a few notes that I have regarding, going to be discussing Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti, the importance of it. We will go through them. Is everybody still there? You can still hear me? I don't know.
Yes, Prabhu, we can hear you
Okay,
fine.
good.
Everything is working. You can just continue. Don't
Okay,
worry.
good. So in the Nectar of the Instructions, Nectar Instruction 8, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada, Nectar of Instruction 8. The Prabhupada says here, Chaitanya Charitamrita advises those who are neophyte to give up all kinds of motivated desires and simply engage in the regulative devotional service of the Lord according to the directions of Scripture. In this way, a neophyte can gradually develop attachment for Krishna's name, fame, form, qualities, and so forth. When one has developed such attachment, he can spontaneously serve the lotus feet of Krishna, even without following the regulative principles. This stage is called Raga Bhakti, or devotional service in spontaneous love. At that stage, the devotee can follow in the footsteps of one of the eternal associates of Krishna in Vrindavana. This is called Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti, or spontaneous devotional service, can be executed in the Santa Rasa, when one aspires to be like Krishna's cows, or the stick or flute in the hand of Krishna, or the followers or the flowers around Krishna's neck. In the Dasya Rasa, one follows in footsteps of servants like Chitrika, Patrika, and Ratika. So, in the friendly Sakya Rasa, one can become a friend like Baladeva, Siddhama, or Sudama. In the Vatsalya Rasa, characterized by parental affection, one can become like Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. And in the Madhurya Rasa, characterized by parental affection, one can become like Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. And in the Madhurya Rasa, characterized by conjugal love, one can become like Srimati Radharani or lady friends. So that means Srimati Radharani, but this is Srila Prabhupada is saying, or like a lady friends, such as Lalita and her serving maids, Manjaris, like Rupa and Rati. This is the essence of all instructions in matter of devotional service. So this is Srila Prabhupada's nectar of instruction, number 8. So I'll just speak about Raganuga Bhakti. I want to just identify, we all know what Vaidhi Bhakti is and Raganuga Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti. So I made a note here just to make sure that everybody, that we get it clear exactly what is Vaidhi Bhakti. So devotees understand. Normally devotees think that Vaidhi Bhakti is just, practicing strict rules and regulations, and Raganuga Bhakti is just doing whatever you want, Krishna consciousness, which is not actually true. I wanted to make a note. I wanted to just let the devotees know what the Vaidhi Bhakti process first as well. Second. Okay, so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally taught Sadhana Bhakti and its two divisions, Vaidhi and Raganuga. His chief followers, Ramananda Rai, Sri Sanatana Goswami, and Sri Rupa Goswami. That's very important to understand. He taught both of this. Raganuga Bhakti means having a fervent desire and attraction to follow the feelings of and sevas of a particular eternal Brajvasi associated with Sri Krishna, who personifies the functional loving relationships, i.e. Sthai Rati, that you want to eternally have with Bhagavan Sri Krishna. For example, if you desire to have and love and serve Krishna as his household servant, i.e. Dasya Rati, you'll emulate a Ratika or Patraka. That's what Srila Prabhupada also says about nectar structure. That if one is a Dasya in Dasya Bhav, one can actually become. So this is what Raganuga Bhakti is. Raganuga Bhakti means that we can have a loving relationship with the Lord. And Vaidhi Bhakti is a relationship that we have with the Lord in Vaikuntha. So one who is practicing Vaidhi Bhakti, basically a person who is practicing Vaidhi Bhakti, they can only attain to Vaikuntha. They practice the Vaidhi sadhana bhakti out of rules and regulations and spiritual injunctions based on fear and reward, whereas Raganuga Bhakta, they practice out of pure love, without fear, without want to gain or anything. So desiring friendship, I, Sakya Rati, becoming a coward boy with Krishna, means to follow the moods and ways of Subala, Sridama, etc. For parental relationship, I, Vatsalya, your ideal Ananda Baba and Yashoda Ma. And if you hanker for Krishna's seva in amorous love, I, Shringar Madhurya Rati, you will practice Raganuga Bhakti in allegiance to Srimati Radharani, Lalita Vishaka, Sri Rupa, and Tulsi Manjari. So you can see here that there is parts of Raganuga Bhakti leading either to Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya Rati, all in Vrindavan. So that's for Raganuga Bhaktas, we practice Raganuga Sadha Bhakta or Bhakti in a loving mood. So how do we know what is Raganuga Bhakti? So here's a fact that we can find out. That Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, the 6 Goswamis, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, the 6 Goswamis, Narottam Das Thakur and Sri Krishna Vishnava Chakravarti Thakura, and all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Acharyas only taught and wrote specifically about practicing Raganuga Bhakti Sadhana, become a Saki, Manjari, and Shringa Madhurya Rati, to eternally serve Radha and Krishna in the kingdom of Vrindavan. Therefore, as a Gaudiya Vaishnava, where is the scope for anything else? You know, so we have to understand. So when we are practicing our bhakti, when we are cultivating our bhakti, we must understand what type of bhakti we want to practice. I just want to clarify a few things that sometimes devotees might have misconception about practice or what is Raganuga Bhakti. And for many years, the devotees, have false statements and misconceptions regarding this topic.
Nityananda Prabhu, as you're trying to clarify many misconceptions or not complete understandings, are you happy to have questions along the way? Or
yes, I would like to have a discussion. We can have a discussion along the way. That's good. That's actually the way I would like. Great,
fantastic. Do you mind if I ask you a question now?
Yes, you can ask.
Right. So most of us, all ISKCON devotees, they jump in fear when anyone mentions Raganuga Bhakti or Prema Bhakti or anything like that. We've heard that already from Gauranga Sundar and Ishan Prabhu. So now, just if you can just answer this question for me, for all the devotees, are we practicing Vaidhi because we don't have feelings and we need the rules and regulations because we're not awakened to love yet? The Vaidhi path, as far as Prabhupada's teaching, will that gradually itself lead to the awakening of prema through the purification process? Will that, not prema, sorry, will that lead to loving emotions awakening for Radha Krishna?
Yes. So it states here, I made a note here, Srila Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Srila Rupa Goswami said something that's very beautiful. That even if one has an inclination, one has a slight thought that they want to become, that that they have feelings, then one should practice Raganuga Bhakti. See, Vaidhi Bhakti is just basically the rules and regulations. We also practice Vaidhi in Raganuga Bhakti. That doesn't mean that in Raganuga Bhakti there's no rules and regulations. There is, and actually more, because they actually do more. So in Vaidhi Bhakti, as you practice in Vaidhi Bhakti, once you get a taste for the loving, I want to be an eternal associate of Sri Radha and Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan, then you are qualified immediately to practice Raganuga Bhakti. That is it. That's what it is. I want to read something here. You are not qualified. So basically, this is what the conception is in devotees. You are not qualified for Raganuga Bhakti. This is so much ingrained in devotees that I've written about, that the moment they hear the word Raganuga, the only thing which comes in their mind is, I'm not qualified for this. So much fear is ingrained artificially in devotees that instead of understanding what Raganuga Bhakti is, devotees stop even trying to know what Raganuga Bhakti is. Those who will say till one has a nartas, one cannot do Raganuga Bhakti. Right? So that is not true. Basically devotees say you are fallen, you are not qualified to do Raganuga Bhakti, there's 100% ignorance, all of that stuff. That's not true. those who say that you are not qualified to do Raganuga Bhakti at this stage of until of Bhava or Anitya, Anatha Nivritti, etc., that Raganuga Bhakti starts only at this point. They say like this, basically they say that you're not qualified for Krishna Bhakti because they don't understand, you see. So how can I explain this? Desire to go to Vaikuntha to serve the Lord, right? In the form of Narayana or one of the incarnations of the Lord, that is Vaidhi Bhakti. Desire to serve Krishna in Vrindavan Dham, in Vraja Dham, that is called Raganuga Bhakti. That is very important to understand. This does not make sense. So basically, when if you understand this process, is that if you are practicing in a loving relationship to Krishna, then that's already Raganuga Bhakti. But there's also a process of how to do it. So just like how we practice Saranam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Parasevanam, Achanam, all of those processes, there's also a way of how to process it in Raganuga Bhakti. Prabhupada gave us this here. This is all in the scriptures, this is all in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So Prabhupada says we must also read the Goswami's Granthas and the literature as well. Does that make sense? Does it answer your question, or are you still unclear about that, about anything?
I'm clear on what Hare Krishna. Sorry, Prabhuji. Yes. Thank you. I'm clear on what you said, but I'm still not clear on certain elements. Like, first of all, if you can, if you've got any quotes directly from Prabhupada,
yes,
that will be wonderful. First, second, you go to some ISKCON devotees, and there's so many that say, yeah, I want to be in Vrindavan Leela. I want to worship Radha Krishna in that mood. So anybody can say that. That's okay. And that sentiment can be there. But when do we know when it's actually really there, so that then we can do maybe, I don't know, something different or add something to that? Or as I have this perception right now, that will happen naturally, just like, I haven't heard this from Prabhupada, but I'm sure he will say something like this.
Yeah.
That when a man and woman get arranged marriage, there is no love at the beginning. It's arranged marriage. So they just have duty bound, culture bound to treat each other dutifully. So they just serve each other. And gradually love and appreciation and attachment begins to awaken between these two. Then we're doing exactly the same activity. What I was doing before in my arranged marriage dutifully, waking up, cooking for her, doing this, whatever. Then now it's the same activity, but with emotional feelings from inside. And that awakening of those emotional feelings, let's say, is the beginning of Raganuga platform, and it will just get deeper and deeper and bigger. So it seems like, tell me please if I have the wrong conception, it seems like by the process Prabhupada has given us, that we will practice, serve in Sankirtan, serve in deity worship, this, and gradually, as Ishan has been telling us so much so, focus internally on making it more personal. You're chanting, but we're spaced out. So chant more deeply, read more deeply, everything more consciously. So when we do that, it seems like that will just gradually remove the layers of material covering, and then gradually our original love will begin to wake up. Then when it begins to wake, that's the beginning of Raganuga. And then as we purify more, it will lead on to higher stages. Is that true?
Yes and no. So it's a good point. Prabhupada is always right. So this is how it is. So if I could say, like, if you look at the Dwarkadishi, the princesses of Dwarka, they were arranged with Krishna. They didn't have spontaneous love. They didn't have the Raganuga love. So that's Vaidhi Bhakti. They were arranged with Krishna, get married. And they developed that love over time for Krishna. But at no time did they ever have love of the gopis of Vrindavan. So what I think is I'm going to do is I'm going to read what I have got written here, and along that it should answer your question, and then from there we can take some more questions. But I do have it written here. It's just all mixed up because I wanted to explain. I got a certain process, if that's fine with you, and then hopefully your answer will come through there. Just stop me at any time if you want to ask any questions, or if it answered your question. All right, perfect. Okay, so let's just look at like the facts basically. So Shri Krishna Chaitanya himself, right? He came to give us Prema Bhakti. He came to give us the ultimate goal. I'm going to try and find something where it's going to be good. Okay. So we got some misconceptions. Okay, here we go. Okay. Pure devotee. So the misconceptions. Okay, so we have to practice. Okay, so yeah, basically you have to be a pure devotee first. Basically, you answer your questions, you have to be a pure devotee first, a very advanced devotee to practice Raganuga Bhakti. That's what your question is, if I'm correct. You have to no. Is at what point do you have to become a pure devotee and then practice Raganuga Bhakti, or what? Is that you first practice Vaidhi?
My question is,
Yes.
Is it correct understanding that gradually, naturally, by following the process of Vaidhi, you eventually, or you will come to the point of Raganuga and then Prema?
Okay, now I understand. Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti are both parallel parts of sadhana bhakti. So the practice of either part can begin at the stage of anartha nivritti. Right? Both paths progress through the stages of anartha nivritti, nishta, ruchi, asakti, and culminate in prema. However, in the prema, perfection of Vaidhi Bhakti sadhana, one takes one to Vaikunta, to the majestic formal realm of Goloka, of Vaibhav expansion Goloka Vrindavan. Whereas the prema perfection of Raganuga Bhakti sadhana immerses one in the intimately sweet Madhurya seva of Radha Govinda Yugala in Goloka Vrindavan, the topmost plane of spiritual attainment. So the Shastra proves, so Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti are two parallel parts of sadhana Bhakti. So they work side by side. You got Vaidhi Bhakti on one side and you got Raganuga Bhakti on one side. It's not that you're going to practice Vaidhi Bhakti and then one day you're going to reach to Raganuga Bhakti. So it's like until anartha nivritti. So first of all, you have adhushraddha, you have your firm faith, then sadhu sangha, then you have bhajana kriya, and then you have anartha nivritti. And then once you are clearing out your anarthas, at that point, or while you are clearing out your anarthas, you can continue on the Vaidhi Bhakti path, which you are on if you want to attain one of the incarnations of the Lord, like Lord Narayana, or if you want like Lord Narasimha. But at the same point, in parallel junction, you can practice Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. That's what I'm trying to explain. So if you there's two parallel paths. It's not that you're going to stop practicing Vaidhi Bhakti, now you're going to practice Raganuga Bhakti. At a certain point, you're practicing these, practicing Adhushraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, and then Anartha Nivritti alongside with Raganuga Bhakti. You understand? So Vaidhi Bhakti sadhikas attain Goloka, not Goloka Vrindavan. Because your questions now, I just have to go through all my notes to find the exact answer. Just I wanted to read this. Okay, so some of the questions that we also get is that we're not qualified to practice Raganuga Bhakti sadhana. That none of us, or that none are qualified to practice Raganuga Bhakti. Such statements are made because of personal interest or mission maintenance considerations. So sometimes somebody will say that we're not qualified to practice Raganuga Bhakti for some reasons due to temple management or some personal interest that they have, or they not genuinely want us to actually attain this. Secondly, so then also wrote here, the practice of Raganuga Bhakti sadhana has nothing to do with age, gender, ashram, spiritual existence, or titles or posts. According to Srila Rupa Goswami, if one's mind and senses become even slightly attracted, this is what I wanted to say. According to Srila Rupa Goswami, if one's mind and senses become even slightly attracted to the interest in seeing the beautiful murtis of the stunningly gorgeous Radha Shama or Shri Shri Radharaman, or if one feels the sweet feeling of loving attraction in his/her heart after hearing the astonishing Vraja Madhurya Leela Katha of Radha Krishna and the Sakhi Manjaris, then one is qualified to begin and to practice Raganuga Bhakti Sadhana. That's called Srila Rupa Goswami. In other words, the qualification is based on one's individual taste, attraction, and the sweetness one experiences by living in Sri Vrindavan, worshipping and seeing Radha Sham, and hearing, reading the Braja Leelas, especially Astakalya Leela of Radha Madhava and the Gopis. The evidence is there are those who are develop longing for the bhava of the Gopis after seeing the sweetness of the deity of Krishna and the Gopis, or after hearing about his pastimes with the Gopis, are qualified for sadhana of either types of these Kamanuga Bhakti, means Raganuga Bhakti or Raganuga Bhakti sadhana following the Gopis and Manjaris of Raja. Padma Purana says that gender does not matter. So even men can attain the bhakti of the Raja Gopis. This is in Bhakti Rasamrita 1, 2, 300. The Jiva Goswami Pad says, when one realizes to some degree the sweetness of love and activities of Shri Krishna's eternal Brajavasi associates through hearing from the scriptures such as Bhagavatam, which describe the Siddha devotees, her intelligence may develop disregard for the injunctions of scriptures. Through the logic of certain employed, that's in Bhakti Rasam Rindu, sorry, that's in Bhakti Rasam Sindhu 1.2.292. So here we can see that Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Jiva Goswami Pad, they're saying that even if one has a small inclination to worship Radha and Krishna as one of the eternal associates in Braja, that is the qualification to practice Raganuga Bhakti Sadhana. So we will get to the Raganuga Bhakti Sadhana on how we actually practice this. It is different from Vaidhi Bhakti Sadhana. It is different. That's why there is two parts, it's parallel parts, but it's different. So you must remember something, that we are coming in the line of Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami is the Raganuga Bhakta. So Prabhupada gave us all of this one. We have to policy. The thing is that we have to qualify for the bhava. I understand what you're saying, that we have to practice Vaidhi Bhakti first. And, we have this understanding that first we have to practice Vaidhi Bhakti, and then one day somehow magically we're going to get the Raganuga Bhakti. We're going to get the taste. It happens. The Prabhupada says that if you have a slight, Srila Jiva Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami saying, even if you have a slight attachment, and that should be from day one. That should be like, okay, fine. Yes, in the beginning, we come to the temple, we see there's a deities, we practice, but for how long are we gonna, we're gonna worship Radha and Krishna in the multi forms? When we attain to that conception that, I love Krishna, I love Radha and Krishna, I love Shri Vrindavanam, I want to associate with them, and I have the feelings of those of his associates, that is when we are qualified to practice Raganuga Bhakti Sadhana. Yes, probably.
Yeah. I'm still struggling because, and I think some of the other devotees will also, and
yes,
maybe I can request you for another time to do this also, because it's too late now, whatever. But fundamentally, what we need first as the base is Srila Prabhupada's words. What did Prabhupada say? Anything about the transition from Vaidhi to Raganuga? We need that at least as the foundation to show that, and then we place Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. So at least that's what I feel I would like as a Prabhupada follower. And secondly, you said it's two parallel paths. So parallel means they're going on simultaneously.
Yes.
And I would love more clear explanation of that one.
Yeah, this is a very deep subject matter. So I was considering whether or not to actually talk about this.
And secondly, the reason why ISKCON devotees and all devotees kind of shun the topic is because there's this axe waiting to fall on everyone's head called sahaja. So no, you talk about this or you do like this, you're a sahaja. So now that's the biggest question we need to nicely clear. Okay, I know half of ISKCON sentimentally and have some feelings, I will say, me too. I love Radha Londonishwara. I love the deities where I just came from Germany. Very beautiful deities. Yes. But I clearly say to myself, know to myself that words, I love the deities are beautiful. it's very much on the beginning kind of sentimental level. It's not at all heartfelt,
Yes.
deeply kind of thing. So, but we need scientific explanation of when is it on a bona fide level of the beginning of Raganuga, when it's not, because it's so easy to become sentimental and jump in. Yes, I'm a Raganuga Bhakti because everybody wants that title and live in Vrindavan Dham. But Prabhupada doesn't seem to say that. He's given us Gauranitai, which is a very unique and special point to consider. There's Gauranitai in the Sankirtan mission, and by doing that, maybe serving that, some special extra things happen. But I mean, I don't want to interrupt. Sorry, Prabhu.
No, it's fine. You can talk. It's good to have a discussion.
Yeah,
It's good
it's
to hear
like
your points
it
as well.
must, for us, it must first come and start with explanations from Prabhupada that lead us to maybe higher teachings of Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. But first of all, we must be based on what
So
Prabhupada
yes,
said.
so I just want to, so Prabhupada, so Prabhupada, when he did, he never speak a lot about this because who he was dealing with at the time. Prabhupada was dealing with hippies, and hippies that if you give them something of the highest nature, just like this, they will go in and become a sahajiyas. So Prabhupada gave it to us in such a way that we understand. First, we practice like this, and you don't worry about everything right now. You first make yourself advanced, then it'll come, then you can research more and you can understand all of this. That is very important to understand. Prabhupada, he was very expert in what he did. Because if he said everybody here is the day, Pranali, here's all of this, here's Raganuga Bhakti, you practice all of this, you do whatever you like. That's not true. Even Raganuga Bhakti is not to do whatever you like. Raganuga Bhakti is a very high process. You're also practicing Krishna consciousness, actually more than what the Vaidhi Bhakti is. It's a process that has to be, and that's where it comes from. Obviously, you going on to the Goswami's literature. So we can understand it from Srila Prabhupada's point of view. We can have quotes from Prabhupada. That's perfect because that's where it has to come from. Prabhupada explains that, okay, let's look at a few quotes from Prabhupada. I got my computer open. Prabhupada says here, if one develops spontaneous love for Krishna as exhibits in the activities of those who live in Braj Bhumi, one attains the platform of Raganuga Bhakti. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 8221. Prabhupada says that if one develops spontaneous love for Krishna as exhibited in the activities of those who live in Braj Bhumi, one attains the platform of Raganuga Bhakti. Right? So when a pure devotee follows the footsteps of a devotee in Vrindavana, he develops Raganuga Bhakti. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 22.149 purport. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 22.149 purport. There's many things that Prabhupada gave us.
If you want me to get any of these on screen, please let me know.
I'll let you know. Yeah, there's a few I will let you know at a certain time because I want to go through this whole process. I think it's important for us all to discuss this. It's taboo topics that are not discussed within our forum. And most of the devotees are wandering very much throughout their lives, practicing for 20, 30 years, maybe even longer, and don't understand this and don't even discuss these topics, which I think is very vital and important. We are Gaudiya Vaishnavas. We are Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada's a Gaudiya Vaishnava. We are all Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And we should understand this process. As much as we are Prabhupadanugas, we are Gaudiya Vaishnavas. That should be known and that should be understood. We come in a certain line, we have a parampara. Our parampara from Srila Prabhupada might be Shiksha. That's how we've received it. That I think Prabhupada will speak about that later, but that's how it is. We have a Bhagavad Shiksha parampara that we're actually following, where we come through the line of Srila Prabhupada. It's a glorious line. But yeah. So we will continue having these discussions. It's going to be a slow process, but hopefully that you can answer everyone's questions. I'm trying to formulate something where I can have it all explained. I'm just trying to get everything arranged in a very digestible order, if I may say so. Then I will put something out or make a video or perhaps write something. So it'll be easily explained to everybody that it doesn't agitate the minds. As well as get the traction from, devotees don't lose the traction from Prabhupada. So I'm trying to merge this So yeah, the notes that I got now, I'm sorry, this is just a little bit all over the place. I thought I was just going to read everything and then we can take questions, but we can continue as we speak along. It's very good. Prabhupada's verses, just for you. So Raganuga Bhakti, so okay. Spontaneous attitude is called Raganuga Bhakti. Yeah, so Srila Prabhupada spoke a lot about this, about Raganuga Bhakti in many lectures as well. He gives glimpses of this. I just want to go into more detail. And there's also something that I want to discuss later on, or maybe if we have a chance at the end, Raganuga Bhakti as well. But let me continue just to read this. Okay, so yeah, so we're looking at the facts of Raganuga Bhakti. Okay, so we understood that now, yes, we have to Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan Dham. We have an inclination, then we are qualified to practice Raganuga Bhakti. Another thing I want to make, okay, so I'll come back to that. That's a key topic. Because as Raganuga Bhaktas, this is very important. As Raganuga Bhaktas, we should be practicing, and we only practice Raganuga Bhakti in one staiba, which is very important to be understood. So in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita as it is, Srila Prabhupada mentions there the 5 primary rasas. So it's not like it's a hidden thing that we must think about. So for devotees, when I ask devotees, you don't have to ask me, but it should be known that, like, you come in a certain line, what is your bhav? What is your sampradaya? What is your sampradaya's bhava? Let's answer that. What is your sampradaya's bhava? Then you can see, oh, my Guru Maharaj is in Manjari. My Param Guru, all of these gurus, all of the acharyas in my line, they all in a certain bhava. Then we think also, I must also be in the same bhava. If you look at Srila Rupa Goswami Pad, he is Srila Rupa Manjari. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami Pad, he is Rati Manjari. Or even Bhaktivinoda, all of them, they're all Manjaris in the spiritual world. So, and we have to understand that what are the books that all of our Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas have written? This is something that's important. The fact is that Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, 6 Goswamis, Srila Narottam Das Thakur, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and all the Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas only taught and wrote specifically about practicing Raganuga Bhakti Sadhana, become a Saki Manjari in Sringar Madhurya Rati. We eternally serve Radha and Krishna in the Kunjas of Vrindavan. Therefore, as a servant in Braja, where will we find the Shastras, the sacred books, the gurus, the mantras, and the teachings to pursue any other sthai rati, means eternal relationship? Then Sringa Madhurya Rati become Saki Manjari, Dasi, maidservant of Sri Radha and Krishna. And now if you want proof of that from Srila Prabhupada has given us Tulsi Arti, where we also sing that every morning. Oh, Tulsi Maharani, please make me your own a maidservant to the damsels of Raja. That's in the ras of Manjaris, in the Madhurya earlier, about the Madhurya ras. So even Prabhupada has given us all of this. We sing this every morning. We'll come to that part. I have to read that. I also made a note on that. So, yeah, the question is, to pursue any other sthai rati than that Sringar Madhurya Rati to become a Saki Manjari Dasi maidservant of Radha Krishna. Where will you find in any of the books that any of our teachers have described to become anything else but in Madhurya Rasi? This is what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us. And the answer is that you will not find any help in any Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, any of the books. You'll never find any other bhava. You will never find any other bhava besides this bhava. This bhava of Madhurya Rasi. So the essence, one of it is to practice Raganuga Bhakti in this mode, right? So this is the bhava of practicing Raganuga Bhakti. Get to the process. There's a step-by-step process that I've tried to make about how we practice Raganuga Bhakti sadhana. So anyway, yeah, so the devotees who try to seek for that in another relationship, they will be lost. Stranded alone and wandering without guidance, which is definitely a risky path to tread. Gaudiya Vaishnavism means Raganuga Bhakti. And for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the six Goswamis and all our acharyas, Raganuga Bhakti means Braja, Gopi, Baba, and Madhurya Bhakti. That's what it means for us. And you can go and check in any scriptures. You will never find anything else but this, especially in according to Vaishnava Sampradaya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself directly experienced, relished, and taught only about Raganuga Bhakti in Sringar Madhurya Rati. Mahaprabhu also instructed his direct followers to do the same. Thus, Sri Ramananda Rai, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Rupa Goswami Pad, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, and Sri Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami wrote extensively about practicing Raganuga Bhakti to become a Sakhi Manjari of Radha Govinda in Yugala Vraja. What is the proof for all these statements? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's direct words and teachings are the proofs that Gopi Manjari Bhav is the one and only way to attain success and spiritual perfection in Krishna Bhakti Bhajana. The very important chapters that we should read is very true. These two chapters are very important. So we can fully grasp the subject matter. If devotees can have a chance to read these two chapters. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Aja Leela chapter 4 and Madhya Leela chapter 8. And all the later chapters of Anja Leela, you'll find this information there. I couldn't
Nityananda
put all the
Prabhu,
notes. Yes.
If you have this in Word file in front of your computer, you can send it to us now.
Yeah.
Share it in the chat box.
So I got some of it in, I made notes.
Oh,
I don't know if you can see it. I made notes, and I've got some on on things here, but it's like all mixed up. So I never collaborated this yet. This is all my notes I've been making for quite some time, maybe a few months now. I'd say a year or so. But
are you good for a question? Are you good for a question?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Because what is pressing me, and I'm sure some other devotees will also be feeling the same, is
yes.
Okay, it's wonderful to talk about these higher realms of bhakti. And
yes.
if we look at the majority of Srila Prabhupada's words and talks, he doesn't deal with this so much. It's there, yes. And we have to dig a little bit, and we find it, and it is there. I know it's there. I've seen it. But so now my question is, practically to the ISKCON world, we are a Sankirtan mission, and we worship predominantly Gauranitai as the easy, quick path to get to Madhurya Ras, to get to Vrindavan Dham. So now in the mission of Sankirtan, when we are waking up, chanting our rounds, distributing books, worshiping deities, all this, how do we fit what you are saying into this Sankirtan mission? Practically.
Okay. Yes, very good question.
What does it mean?
Very good question. So this is my understanding of it. So we can fit it because Raganuga Bhakti is also part of it. I mean, it's not anything different. You can continue doing your Harinam. That's what we actually should do. We are Gaudiya Vaishnavas. We continue doing our Harinam Sankirtan, our Krishna Pisharam distribution. We continue preaching. It's not that Raganuga Bhakti Sadhana doesn't do that. We actually continue doing that. But we do additional things upon that. It's just the way that we do it. My question, or my understanding of this is, I do all the Harinam Sankirtan, which is the process. The Yugala, it's the Yuga Dharma. Harinam Sankirtan is the Yuga Dharma for this age, Kali Yuga. And no better place to do it in Sri Vrindavan Dham. And also there's conditioned souls around the world. So we have to preach and we have to do your Harinam Sankirtan around the world, which is good. And what is the goal of Harinam Sankirtan? What do we talk about in all our books? We have Krishna book. We have all these books to say Sri Vrindavan Dham is the ultimate goal. You can chant Hare Krishna, and what you're going to do? It says, Srila Rupa Goswami says, even Nectar of Devotions also states it. Prabhupada says it about too as well. He says that, if not, then one should reside mentally. It is very, very difficult to do. But the process is to chant Harinam Sankirtan. So the process is like, even if There is devotees that there's people that come here all the time that don't know about Krishna. They actually come in here to seek out Bhagavan, and they're very, very fortunate to actually come here. But the process is not, that's not any different. We're not going to stop Harinam Sankirtan and we're going to practice. It's not that, I know the devotees think, okay, I'm now a Raganuga Bhakta, I'm just going to sit in Vrindavan, I'm going to chant Hare Krishna. No, that's not it. You have to preach, you still have to do these things. There's however little you can do. You still do your Harinam, you still do your chanting. And preaching around the world is great. But wherever Srila Prabhupada puts us is very important. Remember when Srila Prabhupada was around, physically, he was present. Srila Prabhupada used to tell this devotee, you go to that country and you preach. You go to this country and you preach. You go everywhere and you preach. Similarly, like this, Srila Prabhupada is still around now. Srila Prabhupada is still here with us in our heart, in his Vani form, and he's personally within our heart. Prabhupada is here. Prabhupada has put us everywhere. I was preaching in South Africa, Prabhupada now, by his grace and his mercy, he put me in Sri Vrindavan now. I did my preaching, and I still got, maybe Prabhupada wants me to go anywhere else in the world, I preach, that's what I will do. I'm surrendered to Prabhupada. Whatever Prabhupada desires from me, this is what I will do. Whether I'm in Vrindavan, whether I'm in heaven or hell, and Prabhupada desires for me to serve in a certain way, then that's where I will be, and I will serve. With the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and my deep attachment to Sri Vrindavan Dham, Prabhupada's kripa and mercy upon me, that I am fortunate enough to be here and to cultivate my bhakti. But that's how it should be for all of us. Wherever we are at the moment, we should make the best of it, and we should perform the Yuga Dharma Harinam Sankirtan. It doesn't mean that it's going to be any different. A devotee, when he's in Vrindavan Dham, he cultivates the bhakti over Vrindavan. I love serving Radha and Krishna. I get to see the pastimes, everything is here. And when I leave Vrindavan Dham, then I experience Vipralamba Bhav, which is love in separation of Sri Vrindavan, of this mood of Raja. And I perform the Yuga Dharma Harinam Sankirtan in that mood of separation to other devotees. Oh, come to Vrindavan. I miss that place so much. But I'm chanting Hare Krishna to cultivate the souls, the jivas. And what am I talking about? I'm giving them Krishna book directly in their hands. I'm distributing books. Krishna book. What is Krishna book talking about? Sri Vrindavan Dham. All of the scriptures speak about this holy land. If this bhakta first now reads, oh, this is Krishna book, oh, he's talking about Krishna, I also want to go to Krishna. I want to go and see this Vrindavan. This is important. So yeah, like that we can continue. Yes, Prabhu, you have a question? Madhurya Pati Dasa. Madhurya Pati Prabhu. Sorry. Hare Krishna. Okay, so can I continue?
Mathura Pati, go ahead. Please ask your question. Unmute yourself.
Okay, so I'm just going to continue. I can't hear. First, Mahaprabhu asks, what is the way and means sadhana, basically, to attain the ultimate goal, sadhya, or human life?
Sorry, Prabhuji, just before you go there.
Okay.
Maybe there was a mistake and there's Janas.
You can ask a question.
Not me. Janas Priya Prabhu wants to ask a question.
Yes, can ask a question, Prabhuji. Glory to Prabhupada. Dhanava pranams.
There seems to be a technical problem. Janas Priya Prabhu, go ahead. Just do what you normally do.
Our wireless crashed. Please continue the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's
Okay.
Can Janas Priya ask a question or?
Yes, you can ask a question.
Okay, can you hear me? Could you hear me now?
Yes, Prabhu, Dhanava pranams for
go ahead.
Okay.
Janas Priya Prabhu, go ahead.
I have a couple questions for Prabhu. We could go discussing this matter for eternity, and my challenge to these topics usually is this: if the Vaikuntha Express, stopped right outside your door right now, and you could jump on it and go to Vaikuntha, get out of this material world.
Sorry, can you just repeat the question, Prabhu? I just lost a network connection.
If the Vaikuntha Express stop outside your door, not Goloka Vrindavan Express. This is the Vaikuntha Express. Stop outside
Yes.
your door. And
If
they
the bike,
say, anybody wanting to go Vaikuntha, on, would you jump on it, or you gonna wait for the Raganuga Bhakti Express? It's a yes or no answer.
I will tell yes. I'll give you the answer right now. My answer is
Okay.
no. My answer is no. Because for a devotee and a bhakta, for a Brajajana, for a Braja Bhakta, Vaikuntha is no different from hell because they're not associated with Radha and Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. What's the difference?
Okay, good.
Like that.
That's what I need to get that clear. Okay, now my personal experience is that I start hanging out with wannabe Raganuga Bhaktis, which there's plenty. And
Yes.
at the time, I had very long hair, and I used to clean the temple after everybody left.
Mhm.
So there I am. I think I'm a Raganuga Bhakti. I'm cleaning the temple, and I start crying because you get these emotions that you get, they're real. So I start crying, and tears are falling on the marble, and I have my long hair, and I said, oh, I'm gonna do what the gopis did. I'm gonna start washing the floor with my hair and my tears.
It's bad. Yeah.
So this is the danger that Prabhupada warned us, that
Yes.
this process, of course, we understand what you're saying. We understand. We want the PhD. We want the highest degree of interaction with Krishna, which is Raganuga Bhakti in Krishna Loka. Now, from where we are to where that is, at least on my personal experience, and as far as I understand, most of us, it's a very, very long shot, but it's very real, it's there. So now, how could we make progress without being an illusion that we Raganuga Bhaktis when we're not? That's my question.
Very nice, Jay. Thank you very much. So there's a process to follow Raganuga Bhakti. It's the same process as we always as we do as it is on the Vaidhi Bhakti process. The processes of devotional service. I'm going to bring this up here on my side. Okay, so yeah, it's the same process, but it's just in a different way. How we experience Krishna consciousness, it's just the mood, it's the bhava that we have. We're not going to do anything different. I'm not going to. That's basically like if we come to the platform and we say we're going to start crying and washing the floors. And I understand that we have those feelings, like people have those things, but that's like Sahaja. It'll become to a Sajya point of view. Raganuga Bhakti Bhakta, he still follows the processes of Krishna consciousness. He still follows the processes laid out to him by the scriptures, by the Shastra. Still follows all of that. Waking up for Mangala Arati. Chanting is minimum 16 rounds. Actually, should do more rounds than that. That's all important. So there's the 9 processes of devotional service, which Srila Prabhupada is explained to us that we should do. However, for Raganuga Bhakta, it's just a little bit different. For example, we can say that, so in Smaranam, when we are remembering Krishna, we offer our deities, or we think about Krishna, right? For example, in Smaranam, we think about Krishna. The Vaidhi Bhaktas think about Krishna's pastimes of killing the demons, or maybe they think about Lord Nrsingadeva, or the pastimes in Srimad Bhagavatam. They think about those pastimes. So that's one of the 9 processes of devotional service, is to remember the Lord, for example. And they think about it in that. They remember the Lord's pastimes like that. Whereas Raganuga Bhakta, he specifically practices his smaranam, his remembrance of the Astakalya Leelas of Radha and Krishna. Means the 8-fold processes of the day that Radha and Krishna are in the Yugala. I'm going to get this book here. So, Sri Krishna Bharvamrita Mahakavya is written by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura. He also explains this Astakala Lila pastimes. So pastimes go from the mornings, the eightfold processes. So for Raghunaga Bhakta, the only difference is that they remember these types of pastimes. Their mood is different. They still remember in the Lord, but they remember in Radha and Krishna in the kunjas, or they remembering, or they doing that type of seva. Even their mood. So kirtanam is also the chanting. So kirtanam, sarvanam kirtanam. So kirtanam, when for Vaidhi Bhakta, when they practice kirtanam, chanting of the holy names of the Lord, their mind and their mood is thinking, oh, I have to chant this rounds. I have to chant because there's some benefit I'm going to get. If I chant this rounds, if I chant this Hare Krishna mantra, if I go on Hare, I'm going to get some benefit out of it. And if I don't, oh, there's so much of fear. It's going to be bad for my spiritual life. So they live in this mood. Whereas for Raghunaga Bhakta, their mood is, oh, I love to chant Hare Krishna. I love to hear about the Lord's holy names as well. I love this. This is what I'm going to be doing eternally. You know, it's just the mood that is also different. So that's basically it. The process of how to get there is a process. So it's just when Raghunaga Bhakti, the bhava is the most important thing. The bhava of how we understand the things. It's like somebody's point of view. For example, everybody can have a point of view. For example, if you have number 6, and there's a simple example I can give you. And if somebody's standing on both opposite ends, one person can see it as a 6, one person can see it as a 9. It's just the point of view. The process is the same. The remembering, the kirtanam, all of that, parasevanam, all of that is the same. It's just a difference. There's a difference in mood and a difference in perception. And that's there in the Goswami's Granthas, and in all of the Shastras, it is stated that, because we are Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Prabhupada, must remember, Prabhupada gave us all of this in the beginning because Prabhupada didn't want us to become sahajas. Prabhupada doesn't want us to take this and just do whatever we want to do and misunderstand what he wanted to actually give us. Because it's such a delicate thing. Prema Bhakti is a delicate fruit. This is a very, especially Bhakti, is very delicate. So Prabhupada wanted to make sure that he is not, from my understanding, Prabhupada wanted to not disturb that process. So that's why he gave us this Vaidhi Bhakti process. And he says, when you are advanced, you'll read the Goswami's books. And Prabhupada says this, I can show you quotes. Prabhupada specifically says, read Vilakusamanjali, read, in his lectures and also in some quotes. Prabhupada makes references to these granthas and to these books. When one advances in Krishna consciousness and one should actually read that. And as we heard now by Srila Rupa Goswami, he says, and Srila Jiva Goswami Pad, that when one has a slight inclination for an eternal associate, you have that mood of eternal associate in Sri Vrindavan Dham, then one is qualified to practice Raghunaga Bhakti. Means in that way. Because for a devotee, we distribute in Krishna book, there is pastimes of all the other incarnations that Sri Prabhupada has given us in Srimad Bhagavatam. But that will lead us to Vaikuntha. It's not going to lead us to Radha and Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan, which is the topmost planet. Prabhupada wanted us to have the ultimate goal. It's back home, back to Godhead. We're back to Godhead, back to Goloka. That is the topmost planet, and to associate with Krishna in his eternal form. So I hope that answers your question, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, just before Mathurapati Prabhu asks us his question and we go any further, I would really like to share a quote from Prabhupada about this topic. If I just share that, we'll read it for 2 seconds. Okay, I'll just read it. This is from Chaitanya. Let's make it bigger. Sorry, 1 second. Can everybody see that?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, so this is Srila Prabhupada from Chaitanya Chaitamrita, Madhya Lila 23.14.15. In the beginning, there must be faith. Then one becomes interested in associating with pure devotees. And that we are doing with Srila Prabhupada and Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Vyasadeva, all these personalities in the books, they are pure devotees, and we're associating with them through Vani. Thereafter, one is initiated by the spiritual master and executes the regulative principles under his orders. Thus, one is freed from all unwanted habits and becomes firmly fixed in devotional service. So that's a critical point. firmly fixed in devotional service as a foundation. Thereafter, so obviously Prabhupada is talking much later, thereafter one develops taste and attachment. This is the way of sadhana bhakti, the execution of devotional service according to the regulative principles. Gradually, you see, so it's just say gradually this happens, it's a natural process. Gradually, emotions intensify. And finally, there is an awakening of love. This is the gradual development of love of Godhead for the devotee interested in Krishna consciousness. So you're perfectly right, Nityananda Prabhu, sharing with us and having this talk with us, and we do need to discuss it. Prabhupada says that's the goal and that's our aim. Yeah, we should discuss it.
Yeah, good, very well done, very nice. Prabhupada. Okay, so
Mathurapati had a question actually.
yes, Prabhu, you
Sorry,
can go ahead.
I interjected him. Mathurapati Prabhu, go ahead.
And you can show the other.
You can hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now, Prabhuji. Dandava pranam, Sri Prabhupada.
You can hear me all?
Yes, I can hear you. Hare Krishna. Dandava pranam,
Yes.
Sri Prabhupada.
Yeah, because I'm only 20 years now in Krishna consciousness in ISKCON, and then outside ISKCON, let's say. And always, if the discussion started in ISKCON, in every circle of this Vaidhi Bhakti or Raganuga Bhakti, and then Ragatmika Bhakti also, there's so much confusion actually, that everyone looks like he's bewildered, because in Indra Prabhu also he says, like there was discussion on Facebook many years he was living, and then he said actually that in devotion, in Nectar of Devotion, even it's 6 times Raganuga is changed with Ragatmika also. There's one of the points.
Misconception.
Yes, and then the topic, if in ISKCON, if someone only start to say something about Raganuga, immediately they start to laughing. This is not possible for us actually, because Ragatmika forbid. This would be not possible directly. So we must go to this, but Raganuga is changed also in Nectar and in devotion, and because this is, I think, the source of all this misunderstanding, in my even only understanding, and I'm fully beginner, I don't know what is love of God actually, but I'm doing something what I can, and but only by reading all the books, for me, Prabhupada is giving us directly Raganuga Bhakti part even actually, but because, like you say, he wanted not that we become fools and sahajas immediately, because mostly they understand Raganuga have no rules and regulations. You can do practically what you want. Many think even after 30 years. And I know even, look, even you take Sachinandana Swami or Mahanidhi or whatever, you take all the Gopi Baba Club, they're for 50 years, they're staying in ISKCON, but, and then they have a Gopi Baba Club. So this understanding is really, because actually Prabhupada gave us, it looks like, normally you say that in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, these 2 parts, Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga, is separated. Actually, it is like, it is, but in same time, we have a mix, let's say, from, in my understanding, you can correct me if later if I completely wrong, because normally this worship of Lakshmi Narayan, what everyone in ISKCON is doing fully. But then you said also, but in same time we have Tulasi prayer, and what we are praying, that we want to become a gopi in this world always. And Tulasi is the doorkeeper also, for she can give us the free way to go there. And then we have the Krishna book, and this is also part of Raganuga. If someone wants and get the taste, but Prabhupada no, because nobody of us have a deep taste mostly to read or chant more than 16 rounds. This is what I observe and analyze in all my life. Everyone is happy who can finish even his 16 rounds. So that's, let's say that's the fact. Why not to speak
That's the
it
facts.
out?
Yes, right. You're 100% right, Prabhu. That's how it is.
To read, if you see in the lectures, devotees, how many hours they can read. After 10 minutes, more than 50% start to sleep even.
Yeah.
So especially about, if you start with Radha Krishna Lila, immediately they sleep.
So that's where Balaram Prabhu was coming. Balaram Prabhu was saying where we leave from, where we gradually have a gradual process. So that I can understand from that side. We have a gradual process from Vaidhi Bhakti, then we get to Raganuga Bhakti. That's what Balaram Prabhu was trying to say.
Yes,
so,
and therefore it is actually it is written in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It is separate, but we can also in same time see it like gradually, because if we do rules and regulation exactly like it says, stand up in the morning, now this, then that, then chant around, minimum 16 rounds. And if someone is doing it, maybe you see more in tamas or let's say in rajas, but to this process, because of deity worship, this lust is more and more destroyed after some times, and goodness comes out after some. And we are more in goodness, then we can more relish some nectarian leelas of Krishna book or whatever, more and more, and chanting more. And then automatically we get some raga for chanting and leading Krishna Katha, reading Krishna Katha. So automatically someone get more and more in this raga platform automatically. So, but he have a basic, so these rules and regulation hold him strongly always that he cannot become sahaja. If he is free,
so you see
automatically
So I just want to interject there. So the thing is that, see, with the misconception is that devotees think that there's no rules and regulations when you practice Raganuga Bhakti. There is rules and regulations, the same rules and regulations that we actually practice. It is just, I was explaining now, it's just in a different mood. We still wake up 4 o'clock in the morning. We still do wake up 3 o'clock, whatever time. We still practice our Mangala Arati. We still do that, but it's just in a different mood. It's just in a different mood. That's it. Like you ask devotees, like I'll give you an example. So if you ask devotees why they turning in the lamp, or why they offering Krishna all of these paraphernalia, they won't be able to explain to you. They're on the Vaidhi mark. You ask them a simple question, they'll give you some scriptural injunctions. I have to do 3 times, 9 times. Why 9 times? Why are you even doing it? Who knows? Why are you even doing it? And then if you look, I'm just giving you an example, like somebody in a Vatsalya bhav, I'm giving an example. If they're in that sthaya bhav, then they will say, oh, because I'm trying to cultivate the mood of Yashoda Ma, or one of the, in a parental affection. So a person in the bhav of that who's practicing that, they will think, oh, okay, Krishna, I'm waking him up, so I need to go and check my little Lala. I need to go check Krishna. And that time in Goloka, then she takes that lamp and she goes and she turns it around Krishna. Also to ward off inauspiciousness, or any goes, she's in her mind, she's protecting her Krishna. Her bhav is different. She's doing a Mangalarti in the morning, but not in the scriptural injunctions. So that's how we can see that the bhav is the most important. The rules and regulations, the regulations is still there. I've made a notes of it some way. I'm still going to continue reading this if we have time. But it is there. I understand what you're saying. So the thing is that with the devotees, they have no inclination to develop this feelings for Krishna. It's because they haven't for one developed this taste. It comes from ruchi. You have to develop this ruchi. This ruchi is very important. That's from nishtha, because of the steadiness. As you're saying, it's the steadiness that's important. The nishtha, which is very important. So after narta nivritti, then is nishtha. And then from nishtha, when you're constantly steady on this part of devotional service, ruchi comes, the taste will come. And then asakti, then you get attachment. I can't live without this, without chanting. I can't live without it. It's like my breathing. That's how it is. I need to chant. I need to hear the holy name. I need to glorify the Lord. And then obviously then asakti and bhava. Then you start cultivating more bhava. Then you're trying to understand, okay, fine, this is who I am. I'm eternal servant of Radha and Krishna. The most important thing is that devotees should ask themselves, yes, okay, I'm a servant of Krishna. I'm a devotee. I'm an eternal associate of Krishna. But what eternal servant am I? Prabhupada gave us his 5 main rasas, and then we look at ourselves and we think, okay, what rasa? What rasa are we? And we don't know what rasa we. So we look at our Goswamis, we look at our parampara, and we see, okay, what bhava are they? And then we say, oh, they Manjari bhava. That's why Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us this, which is devotees don't understand. Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us Manjari bhava, which wasn't here before that. The 4 sampradayas that were here, Brahma, Madhya, Gaudiya, Vaishnava Sampradaya, which we fall under, Lord Brahma, Lakshmi Devi, which is Shakti, Lord Shiva, which is Rudra, and the 4 Kumaras. They were here, they had Gopi bhavas before, they had all of that before. They had all of that, rasas, they had all of that. Now, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us that was never ever here before, which is Manjari bhav. And if you look at our line, if our Gaudiya Sampradaya, all of them are Manjaris. That is it. It's so simple. It's very simple. Srila Rupa Goswami is Rupa Manjari. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami is Rati Manjari. And devotees are scared of these things because, yes, you should be scared if you're not following the process and you're going to become a Sahaja then. And then you will fall. So therefore, Prabhupada was warned us against this, to follow the rule and regulation, be steady in your practices until you develop attachment for Krishna, Radha and Krishna, until this awakens within your heart. It has to awaken within your heart. If you don't have awakening in your heart, and if you practice, then if you try and do these things, then it's sahaja, because when we ask the question, why do you do something? And if you cannot answer why you do something, then it's sahaja then. You can't say because they did it, somebody else did this. Spontaneous love of God is only by the Ragatmika Bhaktas. And we as Raganuga Bhaktas, so the explanation is like the Ragatmika Bhaktas are like a full moon. And Raganuga Bhakta, we are aspiring just for one of the moon rays of this Ragatmika Bhakti. The eternal associates of Krishna, Radha and Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. We are aspiring. That's what Raganuga Bhakti means. We are aspirants in the path of Ragatmika Bhaktas, which are the eternal associates of Krishna, Radha and Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan.
Yeah,
so
we can
yeah.
You can hear me? You can hear
me? Yes, I can hear you, Prabhu.
And then actually, therefore, what I think is also this book distribution, this Sankirtan, what Prabhupada gave us. And Prabhupada was in the prophecy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that in every village, in every town, this Hare Krishna Mahamantra would be here in the future. So everyone can understand that this, let's say, incarnation of prophecy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually Srila Prabhupada. And then if someone say, okay, we have they Prabhupada give only Vaidhi Bhakti or something, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the mood of Radharani. So in the highest person in Vrindavan is Krishna, but higher than Krishna is Radharani. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the mood of Radharani. And let's say this wholesale of Krishna prema, like some other, they say categorically, this Audarya Lila is higher than even Madhurya Rasa to make the wholesale of Krishna. So what is because we are giving the books to others. So I'm doing it now. This is the only thing what I understand. If I do it more and more, this book distribution, I see others become happy because I can see them, how they grow in Krishna consciousness nicely. They forget smoking cigarettes, taking this and that. And then I become more and more happy and even a junkie of this Sankirtan movement. I cannot more stop it, and more I can relish the books. So the Leelas and everything. So therefore, what Prabhupada gave us is completely the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to spread Krishna Prema everywhere, this wholesale. So this is nothing other than go directly in this mood of this Madhurya Leela actually.
Yes.
So therefore, if in the beginning we can, but if we go more taste and more taste, Prabhupada gave us everything actually. So if someone said Prabhupada gave us not that, he have something not understood. I think.
100%. So the example I can give you is just like everybody says, okay, this is a nice example. Okay. It's when if you learn to play piano. So in the beginning, you do not know how to play piano. And somebody says, oh, this is a piano and you like what they're doing. So then you try to play it, but you do not know the chords. You have to learn from somebody how to play the chords. If you just do anything on the piano and say this is play an expert, no, it won't sound nice. It'll be nonsense. But once you learn all the chords from a ragatmika, from in their spontaneous, once you learn from somebody who knows how to play the piano, a proper person who understands, then you can play notes, you can play certain things. Then after, when you come to that platform of you know everything, basically, it's not only about knowledge, but it's also about feeling. Then you can be spontaneous. Then you can play chords, different chords, you can mix it up and you can call yourself a raganu. You can do your spontaneous playing. So it's like that.
Yeah.
Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us the topmost, this Prema Bhakti, but he also came to give us and help us as Gaudiya Vaishnav to understand what is our eternal position in the spiritual world. And this is very clear. I cannot make this more clear, that all Gaudiya Vaishnavas were all in the bhav of Manjaris. If you think you are in the bhav of any other, then go and show me any shastra written by any of the acharyas or any Goswami, even by Prabhupada or anybody that gives us lila or shows us the way in the process of the other rasas. There may be stories, but there's no process, like how it's explained by all of the great acharyas in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, because we are Prabhupadanugas, we follow Srila Prabhupada, but as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we must understand that this is our line. We are from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates, Shri Ramananda Rai, Shri Nityananda Das Thakur, all of them, Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Nathan Goswami, they all practice bhajan, they all practice in their sadhana, Raghunaga Bhakti sadhana, according to the way Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given them. And for spreading Krishna consciousness, which Srila Prabhupada did, is very important. He gave us the path, and Vaidhi Bhakti is obviously how we start or how we see it, but it also runs parallel. Raghunaga Bhakti is parallel. The moment we have an attachment or feelings that say, oh, I want to also be like an associate of Krishna in Radha in Goloka Vrindavan, that's when one becomes qualified to practice Raghunaga Bhakti sadhana.
Yeah, this is what you say, that actually the only one ticket to get it, there's only one point, you have the greed.
Yes, Loba, yeah.
This is the ticket, Loba. If you don't have it, okay, stay and follow all the rules, better always, very strictly, otherwise also actually, but then more prominent. Huh? Otherwise, we can do it if we have no Loba, then we must by force do something. So even pace, but we must do it. So what we can do.
So I wanted to continue reading just this few stuff that I have, the few notes that I made. If that's okay, or Balaram Prabhu, you want to see brought up?
This is this. It's only one price. Yes, the ticket. I said that is intense greed. Yes. Yeah, that's all. If we have not, okay, no problem. Then we do by force. I must do this. I must.
Yeah.
Someday we get the mercy, then we have the greed. That's it. Very, very easy.
Yes, please go ahead, Nityananda Prabhu.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to finish read my notes here. I got a few notes, and then we'll finish off. Then we can ask more questions. I just want to finish. This is very important. I know I haven't put it in order here, but I'm trying to give as much as I can. Okay, so we are here by chapters. Okay, so Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or Shri Chaitanya in Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, Mahaprabhu asks life's most important and crucial question: what are the goal of human life and how to attain it? Mahaprabhu directly empowers and enlightens Sri Ramananda Rai, who in turn gives the perfect answers which Mahaprabhu patiently listens to. What follows in the summary of Mahaprabhu's teachings on what Raghunaga Bhakti is and how to practice it? What wonderful results does it give the sadhika? First, Mahaprabhu asks, what is the way and means sadhana? What is the way and means of sadhana to attain the ultimate goal, sadhya of human life? Ramananda Rai speaks. Vishnu Bhakti is the goal, and one can perform it by following the rules and by performing the rules and duties of one's position, Swadharma Archana, aka following the Varnashram system. Mahaprabhu replied, this is external or irrelevant. So go on further, go on forward and speak more about the means and goal of human life. Eko Baba H Kaha Akara. So there now there's a conversation that's happening between Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai. Mahaprabhu is asking Ramananda Rai, what is the goal of human life? And he's giving Ramananda Rai a chance to speak and giving an answer. And Ramananda Rai is saying, Varnashram Dharma, this and that, this duty, is giving different things. Until finally, Prabhu, if you can bring up this, you see already have Chaitanya Charitamrita open there. Bring up chapter 8 or Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 8.228 and 229 for me, please. Balaram Prabhu. You heard me?
Yes,
Can bring that
Prabhu.
up on the screen. Yes,
Madhya
so
Lila. Is that Madhya
Madhya
Lila?
Lila,
Right?
yes, 8.228. I'm going to show you now practical proof. Here's the proof for Mathurepati. Here's the proof for everybody. If they don't read Chaitanya Charitamrita, that's, I don't know, they should have finished this already. Prabhupada wrote all his books for us. Here's how you want to see. Everybody's talking about Gopi Baba. Here's it here. This is what Mahaprabhu is saying. Bring up Prabhupada's beautiful translations, or just the, when you see the translation, the purpose, we don't have, we can just go to the translation.
So chapter 8,
8,
text.
22, 228, 229.
Wait a minute, sorry. 8.22.8 or just 8.22?
2.8.2288. That is it.
I
Sorry.
don't understand what you're saying. Say it again.
Chaitanya Charitamrita,
Yeah.
Madhya Lila 8.228.
Oh, 228. Okay, okay.
Yes.
228 means 220. Okay, sorry.
You on Prabhupada.io.
Yeah, I got it.
Very good. So anyway, this conversation is happening between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asks, what is the goal of this human form of life? And Ramananda Rai is giving answers like Vishnu Bhakti is the goal. And Mahaprabhu says, no, continue speaking, that's not it. And goes on and on, you know, until he comes to this point, until they have this point, this conversation here at the end, where you can bring this up on the screen. So you can go to the translation, Prabhu. Yes, there. Therefore, one should accept the mood of the gopis in their service. In such a transcendental mood, one should always think of the pastimes of Sri Radha and Krishna. Then you go to 229, the next verse. Translation. After thinking of Radha and Krishna and their pastimes for a long time, and after getting completely free from material contamination, one is transferred to the spiritual world. There, the devotee attains an opportunity to serve Radha and Krishna as one of the gopis. So that's what, and then we want to see the conclusion where this will speak. You go to 230, Prabhu. Next one.
Oh, can we read the purport?
Yeah, let's read the purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, let's read the purport. It's also good.
Yeah.
You can read it, Prabhu, if you want.
Yeah, sure. Srila Prabhupada's purport on the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 8.230. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that the word Siddha Deha, perfected spiritual body, refers to a body beyond the material gross body composed of 5 elements and the subtle astral body composed of mind, intelligence, and false ego. In other words, one attains a completely spiritual body fit to render service to the transcendental couple, Radha and Krishna. One who is situated in his spiritual body, which is beyond this gross and subtle material body, he is fit to serve Radha Krishna. That body is called Siddha Deha. The living entity attains a particular type of gross body in accordance with his past activities and mental condition. In this life, the mental condition changes in different ways, and the same living entity gets another body in the next life according to his desires. The mind, intelligence, and false ego are always engaged in an attempt to dominate material nature. According to that subtle astral body, one attains a gross body to enjoy the objects of his desires. According to the activities of the present body, one prepares another subtle body, and according to the subtle body, one attains another gross body. This is the process of material existence. However, when one is spiritually situated and does not desire a gross or subtle body, he attains his original spiritual body. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 4.9, one is elevated to the spiritual world by the spiritual body and is situated either in Goloka Vrindavan or in another Vaikuntha planet. In the spiritual body, there are no longer material desires, and one is fully satisfied by rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Radha Krishna. This is the platform of bhakti. When the spiritual body, mind, and senses are completely purified, one can render service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his consort. In Vaikuntha, the consort is Lakshmi, and in Goloka Vrindavan, the consort is Srimati Radharani. The spiritual body, free from material contamination, in the spiritual body, free from material contamination, one can serve Radha Krishna and Lakshmi Narayan. When one is thus spiritually situated, he no longer thinks of his own personal sense gratification. This spiritual body is called Siddha Deha, the body by which one can render transcendental service unto Radha Krishna. The process is that of engaging the transcendental senses in loving devotional service. This verse specifically mentions Sakhi Bhav Payaradha Krishnayara Charana. Only transcendentally elevated persons in the mood of the gopis can engage in the service of the lotus feet of Radha Krishna.
Okay. So that's very important. So how do we practice Raganuga Bhakti? Basically, so Ramananda answers this in the same. Basically, this is what they have in this conversation between Mahaprabhu and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's a beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada. So he also mentioned Siddha Deha here, which we all know that it's also a taboo, something that's very taboo in ISKCON or the devotees have also. So this, you can see clearly that these are mentioned, these words are mentioned. So Ramananda answers, you must accept Gopi Bhava. Basically, he's saying, this is from my understanding, you must accept Gopi Bhava and day and night meditate on the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Right? Ateyavaya Gopi Bhava Kari Aniga Kara Ratri Dina Chinte Radha Krishna Vihara. Remember your eternal spiritual body, Siddha Deha, and mentally serve Radha and Krishna. By doing this, you will attain the perfection of Gopi Bhava and the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Siddha Deha Chinte Kare Sevana Sakhi Bhave Paya Radha Krishnera Tarya. So the mental, so how we do this, Raganuga Bhakti, we mentally meditate upon the pastimes of day and night of Radha and Krishna. Meditate. What is the meditation? The meditation is our smaranam, so our remembrance. Who practices smaranam? This is one of the 9 devotional processes of Krishna consciousness, of our bhaktis, limbs of bhakti. Smaranam, remembrance. What do the gopis do, or what do they do? They serve Radha and Krishna. And what are the pastimes? The Astakalya Lila pastimes, the 8-fold pastimes of Radha and Krishna throughout the day. So if you read, there's a book by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sri Krishna Bhavamrita Mahakavya, which holds the 8-fold pastimes of the day of Radha and Krishna, and this is the Raganuga Bhakti's meditation of his remembrance. Because it states there that we have to remember. It's one of the remembrance is one of the limbs of the bhakti. So after hearing Ramananda's perfect and complete description about the topmost means of the goal of human form of life, sadhana, Sadhya, Sara, Mahaprabhu tightly embraces him and starts crying profusely in ecstatic love. So if you can go to the next verse, Prabhu, 230, then you'll see that. How it's translation. Next one. Yeah. Unless one follows in the footsteps of the gopis, he cannot attain the service of the lotus feet. Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. If one is overcome by knowledge of the Lord's opulence, he cannot attain the Lord's lotus feet, even though he is engaged in devotional service. So that's Prabhupada's purpose. Yeah, you can read the purport.
You want me to read it?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhu, can.
Okay. Srila Prabhupada's purport is, one can worship Lakshmi Narayan by the process of Vidimag, worshipping the Lord with regulative principles according to the instructions of Sastra and the spiritual master. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Radha Krishna, cannot be directly worshipped by this process. The dealings between Radha and Krishna and the gopis are devoid of the opulences of Lakshmi Narayan. The process of Vidimag, following the regulative principles, is utilized in the worship of Lakshmi Narayan, whereas the process of spontaneous service following in the footsteps of the gopis, who are the denizens of Vrindavan, is transcendentally more advanced and is the process whereby Radha and Krishna are worshipped. One cannot attain this elevated position while worshipping the Lord in his opulence. 1 minute. Opulence. Those attracted by the conjugal love between Radha and Krishna must follow in the footsteps of the gopis. Only then is it possible to enter into the Lord's service in Goloka Vrindavan and directly associate with Radha Krishna.
So then in this point I have one question.
Okay.
Because this is actually, I think, now the most important question ever in this topic for me, let's say, because now many devotees, even this Gopi Baba club in ISKCON, they started because one time Prabhupada say we should not think too much about this, because if we are liberated, then everything comes automatically. And if I read the Bhaktivinoda Thakur Sharanagati in his prayers, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is singing that his state, his material body is destroyed, and his Siddha Deha body actually is directly given to him in Vraj, staying and seeing directly Radha, Krishna, everything. So now the question is, should someone who won't attain Goloka Vrindavan, even if he is not liberated, start with always the Smaranam or something like this, only to meditate? Or even is this actually a part of Sahaja even? Because, or should he wait with his process by rules, regulation, and regulative principles, then he get liberated, and then the other things comes automatically. Because also the Kumaras or Shukadev Goswami, they get liberation by impersonal praxis, but then immediately someone can start with bhakti in spontaneous, that immediately. But if someone is not at first liberated, should he wait that he is liberated or not?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Yeah,
But no.
This is the.
So the good question. Yeah. So that's a misconception.
Mostly they become sahajas or not. This is the point. If someone gets sahaja away or not.
Yeah. So basically, the both parts, as I mentioned, the both stages. Both parts progress.
I hear you.
Yeah, so both parts progress through the stages of Anartha Navritti, Nishta, Ruchya, Sakti, the culminating Prema. However, the Prema perfection of Vaidhi Sadhana takes one to five. So You can practice this. You don't have to be, I mean, what's liberation? Liberation is when you got prema bhakti and when you're no longer here. At that stage, I mean, you know, you have to cultivate bhava before prema. So this is very important to understand. That we should understand that we have to cultivate this. Bhava comes before prema. So if we practice in Raganuga Bhakti, we don't have to be liberated to practice Raganuga Bhakti. That's a misconception. Raganuga Bhakti sadhana is also, it's the same process that we actually do. We chant our rounds, we follow the rules and regulations, but it's just the bhav that is actually different. One doesn't have to become a liberated soul. This is a misconception that everybody has. But you have to first become advanced and liberated and then practice Raganuga Bhakti sadhana. No, Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Jiva Goswami also say, even Srila Prabhupada, see, Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Jiva Goswami say that if we have a slight inclination to serve Radha and Krishna in an attachment and feelings to attach to serve Radha and Krishna in the pastimes of Vrindavan, then you can start practicing Raganuga Bhakti. And also I mentioned that earlier that when what we do, that we cannot serve Radha and Krishna, the pastimes of Radha Krishna very confidentially, unless we are in this mood of Gopi or Manjari Bhav, which is Madhurya Rati. That's very important. So Prabhu, if you can go to the same chapter, we just 201 in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Can you pull that up on the screen for us? It's 201. That was just the translation there by Prabhupada states that these are all from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So it's all Prabhupada's words. And if we can't accept Prabhupada's words, then what to?
Same Madhya Lila, same chapter, just 101.
No, 201.
Right?
201. Yes.
Okay. Okay, got it.
So the translation by the pastimes of Radha and Krishna are very confidential. They cannot be understood through the mellows of servitude, fraternity, or parental affection. So by any other means, we cannot understand the confidential pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Here it states. So what is the only way? The only way is through this Madhurya Rasa. Madhurya. And then if we can go to 204 and 205. Okay, here we can see. And this is a very important purport in the end of this purport, these last two chapters in this purport. Prabhu, when you can read this purport and then we can discuss, because Prabhupada talks about sahaja and offense and aparad in the last two paragraphs of this purport. So I think it's also very important that we understand this, because Prabhupada says that we should avoid against it. But that's why I want to explain the misconception as well that the devotees have, because it's not this body, it's actually the opposite of them. So let me read the translation and you can continue the purport, Prabhu, if you don't mind. So the translation by Srila Prabhupada, without the help of the gopis, one cannot enter into these pastimes. Only he who worships the Lord in the ecstasy of the gopis, following in their footsteps, can engage in the service of Sri Sri Radha Krishna in the bushes of Vrindavana. Only then one can understand the conjugal love between Radha and Krishna. There is no other procedure for understanding. Probably if you kindly
Who's got their mic on and moving around?
But you want me to read it?
No, I can read. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Some material sahajas who cannot actually understand the pastime. Actually, everybody should mute themselves now. Just mute for a minute, everybody. Mathurapati also probably. Okay. Some material sahajas who cannot actually understand the pastimes of Radha and Krishna manufacture their own lifestyles without referring to authority. Such sahajas are called Sakhi Bhaiki, and sometimes they are called Gauranagari. They believe that the material body, which is fit to be eaten by jackals and dogs, is enjoyable for Krishna. Consequently, they artificially decorate the material body to attract Krishna, thinking themselves Sakis. But Krishna is never attracted by the artificial grooming of the material body. Somebody's got their mic on. Okay, it seems to have stopped. As far as Srimati Radharani and her gopis are concerned, their bodies, homes, dresses, ornaments, endeavors, and activities are all spiritual. Of these are meant to be, all of these are meant to satisfy the spiritual senses of Krishna. Indeed, they are so pleasing and endearing to Krishna that he is subjugated by the influence of Srimati Radharani and her friends. Subjugated means controlled. So the gopis and Radharani control Krishna. They have nothing to do with anything mundane within the 14 planetary systems of the universe. Although Krishna is attractive to everyone, he is nonetheless attracted by the gopis and Srimati Radharani. One should not be misled by mental concoctions supposing his material body to be perfect and deeming oneself a Saki. This is something like Ahangraha Pashana. That is a Mayavadi worship of his own body as the supreme. Srila Jiva Goswami has cautioned mundaners to abstain from such conceptions. He also warns that thinking oneself one of the associates of the Supreme without following in the footsteps of the gopis is as offensive as thinking oneself the Supreme. Such thinking is an aparad. One has to practice living in Vrindavan by hearing about the talks of the gopis with Krishna. However, one should not consider himself a gopi, for this is offensive. Very
so
nice.
you see how
Last
yes,
sentence.
very nice. Yes, the last two. This last one is also one says in offense.
Yeah, and Prabhupada is saying the practice is by hearing.
Yes. This is a very important. So these two, these last two chapters, it's very last two paragraphs. Sorry, it's very important because this is where the confusion comes in. People think right now in this body that they're gopis, and they want to start dressing like gopis and doing all this nonsense and this sajya stuff. That is the misconception where everybody gets into, and that's when they become sajya. You understand? So it's not about this body and now I'm a gopi. No, it's the mood that I'm practicing my bhajan, my sadhana, and my seva in. And the mood that I'm practicing, the mood of that, what is my eternal position in the spiritual world? What am I going to do in the spiritual world? When you ask somebody, okay, fine, you're going to go home back to Godhead, what are you going to be there? Even when you go for a vacation somewhere, you know what you're going to do. You plan your trip. Now we're practicing Krishna consciousness for so many years and we're not planning what we're going to do, when we get there. It's not automatically that everything comes to us. Just Prabhupada says it's not automatically that everything comes to us. Somebody doesn't just become a doctor. Somebody doesn't just become a lawyer. Somebody doesn't just become rich. They try for it. They practice for it. So similarly, we practice for a certain bhav. We try for a certain rasa. And in this year, Prabhupada's making examples that this gopi bhav that we should not think of ourselves in this is the concept, and that's why I read those other two chapters, that other two verses, 228 and 229, where it says that only one by service in this mood can attain Radha and Krishna in the Yugala Kunja, in the Kunjas of Vrindavan. Yes, Prabhu, you can ask the question. Very enough.
Yeah, Prabhuji, this in these topics of prema, there's some, for me personally, there seems to be something that's missed. So I want to ask you, what function do Gauranitai and the Panchatattva and the Sankirtan mission have in this process of moving us, Kali Yuga devotees, leftovers? We've been here for millions of lives. Kali Yuga devotees, trying to be devotees right now, and we're serving the mission represented by Prabhupada, headed by Chaitanya and Nityananda. So now this specifically Gauranitai, what role do they play? And then mercy, specifically their Namo Mahavadanyaya, the most merciful magnanimous. What role do they play? So Gauranitai I'm asking about, and Prabhupada, these three personalities, what role do they play in moving us from actually no qualification to go even to the heavenly planets, let alone the spiritual world Vaikuntha, let alone Goloka Vrindavan? But what role do they play in taking us from here to Goloka Vrindavan?
The role that they play, they have given us the kripa, they've given us the instructions, they're giving us the process of attain. So the seva that we perform in seva, this Harinam Sankirtan movement, is by helping others, and by helping others, we also helping ourselves. We're making our hard hearts soft. When our heart is hard, the Bhakti Devi cannot enter. Only once our hearts are soft, then Bhakti Devi can enter. And just mentioning Gauranitai, which is so beautiful, I want to, I want to share something that's going to be, I don't think many devotees even know this, that in our line as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we are so fortunate. We are so fortunate to have Gauranitai, that even once we get liberation, right, we are capable of having two Swarupas, or two eternal forms that not many know about. Two eternal forms, one in Nityananda with Gauranitai, with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and one simultaneously in Nitya Vrindavan. This is confirmed in Sri Vilapkusa Manjali by Raghunath Das Goswami. Anybody can read that book, Sri Vilapkusa Manjali, where we can see personally that Sri Raghunath Das Goswami is already in Gaura Lila, and he's going in and out of consciousness, and he's explaining himself as Rati Manjari in Nitya Vrindavan. So in Nitya Navadvip, we have an association with Mahaprabhu, with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the Sankirtan mission forever, because it's a beautiful mission, as a 12-year-old Kishori Brahmana. This is stated in the Shastra. This is stated. We have this, especially in our Gaudiya line. We are very fortunate to have this. So that relationship is never lost, and the roles that they play in our lives is eternal. It's not that we get to choose one or another. We get everything that our heart desires, because we also long for the association of Nitai Gaur. We, as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we long for that. I would rather, I don't want to choose, but if I had to choose, Gaudiya, Gaura Nitai, there's my life and soul. This is the life, but I cannot get anything else from Lord Chaitanya, without Lord Nityananda Prabhu, without Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Their mercy is overwhelming. They gave it to all of us, whoever. We're not even. I personally am not qualified. I don't know how, by some mercy, by their kripa, they caused this mercy that they've taken me out of depths of hell, and they've placed me at the lotus feet of my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada has guided me along this path. That's his only I can say is through their mercy. And this is all that we should be aspiring for, is to always be in the service of Sri Gauranitai. As Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we are proud. If we ever come to Vrindavan Dham, Vraja Dham, Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they are so renowned and so glorified here. It is unbelievable. Even in Nityananda, even in Navadvip, in Vrindavan, it's so merciful. The Gaudiya Vaishnava, the humility, the Vaishnava etiquette, the compassion. This is what they have given us. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us in that verse in Shikshastikam. He's given us another piece of Nishana. He's given us is to be as humble as a blade of grass, as taller than a tree, Kirtana Sadhari, always chant, in that mood, chant Hare Krishna. And practically here in Brajadam, the devotees in Gaudiya, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they practice that. They sing and they chant and they treat everybody in this mood, in this humble, and they're so tolerant to all of us. And Prabhupada taught us this. Prabhupada taught us this is how we should be, to have the utmost respect. And this etiquette of being a Gaudiya Vaishnava, it's such a high position that we have as Gaudiya Vaishnavas. We don't realize how fortunate we are as Jiva souls to even come into contact with Krishna consciousness. And not only that, to become a Gaudiya Vaishnava, because there's many sampradayas here in Vraja. But to be a Gaudiya Vaishnava, it's the most sweetest, it's the best thing. It's the best sampradaya. It's the best. I'm say from my own point of view, it's the best. There's other sampradayas, it's beautiful, but because as we know, the most beautiful deities, if anybody's serving any deities in the world and you ask the person, which are the deities that are the most beautiful to you, And some people will say whoever. But then you can also tell him the most beautiful deities in the world are the ones that you serve. So like that, if we serve Gaura and Nitai and they are deities, they are in our heart, they will always be with us forever. We are very fortunate to be a Gaudiya Vaishnava. To even hear the name Nityananda, to even hear the name of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, we are so fortunate. People die, live their lives and die without hearing their names. Now there's no explanation. There's no words that I can say that can express how fortunate we are and how grateful actually I am to Gaura Nitai. Their mercy, because of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's kripa and Lord Nityananda Prabhu's mercy, that they have given us this Harinam. They have given us this holy name. And Srila Prabhupada, I wouldn't even known about Lord Nityananda Prabhu. I wouldn't even known about Lord Chaitanya Prabhu if it wasn't for Srila Prabhupada. I wouldn't have known about it. None of people in the West would have known about Srila Prabhupada. Even people here in India, they don't even know, what to speak about the rest of the world. If it wasn't for Srila Prabhupada, that's why Srila Prabhupada will be and will always be my spiritual master. No matter what. We all have to dedicate, because devotees, we dedicate our lives to Srila Prabhupada and his Vani and his teachings. That's the most important thing. Prabhupada is the greatest, is the I don't know, Prabhupada, I know Prabhupada, we have his Vyasa Puja coming up, where we glorify Prabhupada, but every day we should glorify the spiritual master. So Prabhupada's mercy that he has given to all of us, we cannot understand. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't even know who Krishna is. That's I'm going to say that. We wouldn't be having discussion. We are all connected and friends, devotees, and eternal God family, God brothers, because of Srila Prabhupada. He connected the whole world and he's taken us all back home, back to Godhead. As long as we hold on to him, hold on to Srila Prabhupada's devotee, and never ever leave his association, and always be in the association of like-minded devotees, and have these discussions and have these type of interactions where we glorify the spiritual master and we discuss these topics which are very important. It's not that we have to not talk about certain things. Everything is meant for discussion. Srila Prabhupada was a warrior. Srila Prabhupada is a warrior. You can ask any question. It's not like you cannot ask this question. You can ask any question. You can speak about any topic. Srila Prabhupada will speak about it. Srila Prabhupada will never just brush you off like that. Unless it's something with spiritually that somebody is not qualified to hear as yet. But Prabhupada answered every single question that the devotees asked for. There was never a topic Prabhupada. That's why we are warriors. In Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sankirtan movement, we mustn't be afraid. That's why if somebody comes to us with these topics, we must be able to understand how do we see Siddhadeha? How do we see Raganuga Bhakti? How is our understanding on this? And we must be able to answer them. We have to acquire this knowledge. It's like ammunition for us when we go out, because we meet other sampradayas or we meet another devotee and they'll ask us about these things. And we'll say, yes, we do have eternal relationship with Radha and Krishna in the Yugala Kishore Padam. We also have a relation. We are so fortunate. We also have a relationship. We also have eternal association with Nitai Gaurani, with Nityananda Prabhu and Lord Chaitanya Prabhu in Navadvip. So these are important topics for us to all discuss and to come to conclusions. And as you can see, Srila Prabhupada is also written here. Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's many. And from here also to speak about the Goswamis, the Granthas. This is a very important thing that I need to say. Just one thing is that devotees stay away from reading or studying. First, study all of Srila Prabhupada's books. This is the most important thing. Study all of Srila Prabhupada's original books. You study that. After that, you study not once, not twice, you study many times. And you always get new and new realizations. And eventually you'll understand that Prabhupada is giving you permission. Prabhupada will direct you in the heart. Prabhupada, like he's guiding us, and the spiritual master will guide from within. The spiritual master will never stay eternally present physically, but they will always be with us eternally, spiritually, guiding us. Read the Goswamis, Granthas, and literature. This is the question that I ask for everybody as well. The Goswamis wrote so many of Granthas, so many books, so much of Shastra, but nobody's reading them. Who did they write the books for, if not for us that are practicing Krishna consciousness? Who did they write it for? Because in ISKCON, they teach you don't read the Goswami's books, don't even read Srila Prabhupada's original books, only read the edited, whatever nonsense. Who did they read Srila Prabhupada's original books, but then go on to reading the Goswami's literature? Because that's what Prabhupada also instructs. And who did they write it for? If they never write it for us, then who did they write for? Certainly not the Karmis are going to read the Goswami's books. They wrote it for us. They They spent their time, Srila Rupa Goswami spent his time writing Srila Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, spent all of this time. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also wrote many scriptures. And Prabhupada says, when we become advanced, how we know when we're advanced? You'll know. You'll know when you have questions, and then you will find the answers in the Goswami's books. You'll know. Prabhupada will direct you in certain ways. Prabhupada, if you are surrendered to Prabhupada, Prabhupada will place you where you are meant to be at a certain place to serve him in a certain way and to understand certain things at a certain time. We all know this. Whenever, if we read Srila Prabhupada's books every day, and if we listen to Srila Prabhupada's books, we listen to Srila Prabhupada's lectures every day, we know as devotees that if I have some problem, if I have some thoughts, if I have some doubts, that somehow or another, when I'm reading Prabhupada's books, the answers come. Somehow or another, when I'm listening to Prabhupada's lectures, the answers come. I was thinking about this problem, or what's this? And Prabhupada gives me the answers that I need. We know this is real because we experience it. It's not like it's something that's only happening to me. It's happening to all of us. Similarly, Prabhupada is giving us this information that yes, when we become advanced, and we should know about all of these things, because Lord, we are soldiers in the army of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We should arm ourselves with this knowledge that Srila Prabhupada has given us. Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is post-graduation, which is very high. It's all here. There's nothing hidden about Radha and Krishna and the Kunjas and the Leelas. We shouldn't be scared of this. And that's what I say to all devotees that are practicing for many years and decades and staying far away from this. It's all in Srila Prabhupada's books. If you read Srila Prabhupada's books, you get all of it. The nectar is here. It's like Prabhupada used to say, the devotees used to ask Prabhupada, why are there some devotees that you show more favor for, and the other devotees you don't show more favor? And Prabhupada gave an answer. This is a story that I heard. I don't know where, or maybe I read it. Prabhupada says, it just depends on how wet you want to get. It's like a waterfall. It depends on how wet you want to get. You stand closer to the waterfall, you get the mercy. But you stand far away, you only get some mist particles falling on you. Okay. Prabhu, you got a question?
Yeah, just to be aware of the time. We got, I think, about 20 minutes before the next lesson starts. And that's your show, Prabhu. So just one quick question I'll ask you. And if we can have, or maybe there's some other questions also, but quick question and quick answer. Because
sorry, I can't hear you.
Okay,
now I can hear you.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Sorry, Prabhuji. Yeah, so just quick questions and quick answers, because we'll try to finish this in 5 minutes. So short, to the point questions and to the point answers. My question is, from originally we have our Svarup, we have our Siddhadeha, we have our spiritual form. So now that spiritual form is covered, we're in the process of purifying it. So what does it mean? And what does Prabhupada say about sitting somewhere and meditating that I'm a gopi, I'm a manjari, or I'm a piece of grass, or I'm a piece of tree? Because it looks like, correct me if I'm wrong, that by following the purificatory process and the service process, specifically in Gaura mission, that Siddha original form of ours will be uncovered. So when it's being uncovered, I'm not going to sit here and have to speculate, oh, of course I'm a gopi. That's the highest. Of course I'm going to be a gopi. It's not going to be like that. To really know that when you come to that stage, it will naturally start to overtake your consciousness that you are this or you are that. At that time, you seek the association of a similar devotee and to further kind of help wake that up quickly. Is that what kind of Prabhupada is saying?
This is a question. So this is a topic that you have to go into detail. It won't be answered in 5 minutes, but my thinking is like this. My thinking is like this. So you say when the time is right, it'll automatically come. My thinking is like this. Let me ask the devotees that have been practicing Krishna consciousness for 50 years. They're doing Harinam 50 years. Has it come to them as yet? If it has come to them, then they tell them how, because that's the point. It's not going to automatically. It's a process of how you, that's why I said it's a process. We have to practice, and Prabhupada has given us this process.
Yeah, but
you must remember a lot of things are hit.
But the process is purification, which is, let's say, Vaidhi Bhakti. It's not sit and speculate, oh, I'm this form. Because if it's not coming from inside, you're going to speculate. It's going to naturally arise from inside.
100%. There's no speculation. There is no speculation on this path. We have confirmed. We have this. We have to have this confirmed. So let's see if I got a note here. So we have to have this confirmed to us by the spiritual master. That's what the spiritual master confirms everything. And give me an example, right? And I'll have to find the exact person the way it says, but the spiritual master that reveals everything to one, whether it's directly, the physical master is present. We'll speak about this some other time. Siddha Pranali. I know Prabhupada was on about that, and he also mentioned so many things about that, about how the Radha Babaji gave Siddha Pranali and all of those stuff. We have to speak about that some other time. But there is a process, and the reason why Prabhupada did that, as I mentioned last time to Pati, is that Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted to stop that. Because there was devotees doing that, Babajis were doing it from the Jati Sampradaya, from the father to son Sampradaya. They want thinking that only they can attain Krishna consciousness. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati wanted to stop that. And that is why they never go on to that process. But anyway, the spiritual master reveals through direct, to the disciple directly, physically. Then that can also be attained by chanting the holy names, which you are right. When you chant Hare Krishna, you do Harinam Sankirtan, automatically it will come. That's 100% correct. 100%. And then through a dream, through your dreams, it can also come. That's also stated in Shastra. So all these three processes is stated in Shastra. It can automatically come from that. The chanting the holy names directly from the spiritual master and also from your dream. That's how it can come. And then obviously it only comes through Guru Kripa. It comes through the mercy of the spiritual master. Everything is through the mercy of the spiritual master. It will never ever come on your own. If you sit and you speculate you are and you're not really that, then you will be wasting your time and you will not get any taste. And you will fall down eventually because you practice in Sahaja. So that will be your fall down. So you can see practically if one is really got their Swarupa, if one really got it, then they will be fixed forever for their life. If one doesn't, then they'll fall down and you'll know in time that this person was the nonsense. This person is a nonsense. He fell down. He wasn't really wherever he says he was. That's easy for us to see that because Krishna doesn't like that. I mean, play games. We can't do all of those nonsense stuff.
Okay.
We have to.
Next.
He's got a question.
Yeah, and we don't have much time. So Mathurapati,
okay, no problem.
As clear as you can, please.
No, it is Maitreya Rishi from Bliss. He have a question.
Okay, great. Maitreya Rishi and Purajit Prabhu have just come from the UK.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Then they can see you better. Yes, exactly like you. No, they can see you.
My obeisances, Nityananda Prabhu, Balaram Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dhanava Pranams, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai. Prabhu, I was a little curious because you mentioned one point that Srila Prabhupada, we can obtain everything from reading his books, but on the other hand, you said that we should read the books of the Goswamis. So I'm just trying to understand this apparently confusing statement. Could you possibly elaborate on that?
Yes, sure, I can. Srila Prabhupada states, I'll give you some quotes now. Srila Prabhupada gives in his lectures that we should read certain books and granthas. Actually, we love Krishna Manjali. Srila Prabhupada also makes references to many of the Goswamis' books. Srila Prabhupada mentions Srila Manjali, Srila Krishna Karandamrita Mahakavya. Srila Prabhupada gives that in his lectures that you should hear, but you should read about it when you advance. If you want to give me some time, I can find those verses for you, or if you want me to send it to you afterwards, I can do that. Because Prabhupada does mention, so by the order of the spiritual master, we're following. Prabhupada gives us everything in his books and by his lectures. So if Prabhupada is telling us that when we advance or when we reach a certain level, we should actually read the Goswami's books. That's also in Prabhupada's books. You understand that point?
Yeah, I follow.
Yeah. So that's how Prabhupada. So Prabhupada has given us everything in that regard.
Right. Okay. How? Because there's one also quote that because I was also questioning this. Should we read the books of the previous acharyas because there are quotes like that from Srila Prabhupada? But he also mentions that you can read the other books once you have assimilated my books. So to you, what does the word assimilation mean?
Means you complete reading Srila Prabhupada's books many times until you understand it throughout. You don't read it one, you complete everything. All Srila Prabhupada's 80 volumes of books, so Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, you continue reading that. And then you understand the essence.
That's how you would define assimilation.
Assimilation is in order. What does assimilation mean? Assimilation means in order, in a sequence, doesn't it?
No, assimilation means realization.
Yeah. Okay. So complete understanding. Yeah, so when you have your realizations after you reading Srila Prabhupada's books, then you will understand that Prabhupada says, okay, fine, now you have to read these Kanta Granthas. And there's a simple question that I can also ask, is that if the Goswamis wrote all these Granthas in the books, who do they write it for? If they never write it for us and we are Gaudiya Vaishnavas, who do they write it for? That's the question that I ask. If we have Gaudiya Vaishnavas are not going to touch those books and we're not going to read it, who did Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, all the Vaishnavacharyas write these books for? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. That's my point.
That's
and we are Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So they wrote it for us.
I don't know if I have a quote to fully answer your question, Prabhu. I just know that there is also one quote where Srila Prabhupada says that, at least in the case of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that he wrote these books, he being Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, he wrote these books for me, Srila Prabhupada. But that's just in regards to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. But it's an interesting point. I think it deserves more discussion.
That's very good. It's very good for us to have these discussions. This is why this forum, I think, is formed, so we can all have association and discuss all of this. And this is very important. So I can send some information regarding the Srila Prabhupada says that we should read the books, especially and make posts and references from these other granthas. I can share where Prabhupada quotes from these granthas in his purports of Shri Krishna Karandamrita Mahakavya, which is compiled by Nityananda Das Cultivating. So Prabhupada makes references to those books and specifically to certain verses there. And here now we've read in Chaitanya Charitamrita as well that that we have to understand what is our actual staiva, to understand what is our ultimate goal of what is our bhava. Because for how long, I mean, this is the point. We have to practice chanting. We continue doing Harinam Sankirtan, right? You're doing very nice seva, very nice service. See, you're doing all of the services every day. You're following Srila Prabhupada's standards in temple worship, which is wonderful. And Harinam Sankirtan movement, which has to go on. It's beautiful. Eventually, we have to cultivate our bhakti. We have to attain prema bhakti. And to attain prema bhakti, one has to come to the point of bhava. Before prema bhakti, one has to come to the point of bhava. And what type of bhava is that? And that's where the other books and the granthas come from.
Really, really sorry to stop this conversation. It'd be wonderful, and I wish we had. I wish time, but devotees there maybe want to go and walk for 10 minutes, 5 minutes before the next class.
Yes.
Shodanandam Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu, on behalf of everybody, really, really want to thank you first and foremost for actually giving your life and dedicating your life to Srila Prabhupada, representing Srila Prabhupada, glorifying Prabhupada there, and taking the time to share your realizations on this topic. Especially, we know this topic is generally not really encouraged by most of the devotees, but you're right, and I fully agree with you. It does need to be discussed on all different levels. On a low level, it needs to be discussed. On a medium level, it needs to be discussed, and higher, because we can't just be blank. At least we should know some basic stuff or more as we go later. So thank you so much for sharing that.
All glories to Prabhupada. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Hopefully this will be the beginning of many more. Hare Krishna. Can anyone hear me there? I think you have to end the class there. Mathurapati Prabhu.
Okay, we will. Don't worry. Nice to see you. I will come back soon.
I miss you too.
The plane was great. The plane was too much. The plane would have been 700.
It's all right, yeah?
Hare Krishna, Hari Bol.
We were going to Slovakia.